This is GerotheHero, and this is my review of Drifters Episode 1. Now, visually, at the beginning of this episode, it was almost lifelike the battles at the Battle of Shikihara. The main character, Shimasu Toyo, he basically tries to hold off the enemy forces so his uncle can escape, and he manages, even though he's impaled by like multiple spears, he manages to kill one of the leading officers, and he somehow survives. He's basically dying, and he gets transported to another world, and he meets a mysterious man, and he really doesn't say anything much to him, but then he sends him to the next world. In this world, it's obviously a different world or dimension because the native people are elves and they speak a different language. He's taken to a certain area, I guess, where other people like him are there, and we meet Nobunaga and also Yoichi. Now we find out that are from two different time periods. Obviously, Nobunaga was one of the major Taikos that was trying to unify Japan, and we get kind of a mini history lesson, which I thought was funny because it's in the style of typical Hellsing, where it's like goofy kind of cartoon drawings to kind of lighten up the dark subject matter. So Nobunaga is like, well, I didn't get killed at the battle of whatever, and Toyo is trying to like explain that, like, yeah, it was Tokugawa and Ishida that fought each other, who Nobunaga calls Toady, and then he asks about his son, and he finds out that he's dead, and he calls him an idiot. But you can tell that he really is kind of like torn up about it, and that, you know, it's 18 years later in comparison, and that all the work that he's done didn't matter. And then Yoichi basically laughs at both of them because he was from a war 400 years ago, so it's like 18 years is nothing. Kind of laughs at both of them. So they all kind of find out at one point that they were all summoned by the mysterious man and sent to this world. So now they're trying to figure out, well, what are we doing here? Then the scene switches, and we find out that the only character that's introduced, like we actually know her name is Simu, who's a blonde girl with glasses, and she's kind of spying on, she identifies everybody as drifters. So they're the opposing side, and they see them as a threat. And they mention that the world will be over unless they take care of the drifters. And then we see what I would think are like undead soldiers coming. So it's not really clear if the drifters are going to impede them from taking over this world with their soldiers, or that they're trying to imply that because they're there, that they're causing these issues. So we'll have to see, you know, who's basically the bad guys, who are the good guys, and what their motivations are. Overall, the graphics were really great. It was very lifelike at the beginning, like I said. If this show was just about samurai battles, that alone would have been great, but the subject matter is really interesting. We'll have to see if there's any other characters and how they are related. So since the drifters are all historical figures, we'll have to see what the other side is like and how they pick their people and what the difference is. We'll still have to see what all those soldiers were and the significance of all the other characters that were kind of foreshadowing, because we only got shadowy outlines. One guy had a staff, so a magic user. We saw some other people, couldn't really make out. And then we have those soldiers that look like they're undead. And then we'll have to figure out what that guy was talking about as far as the end of the world and how the mysterious guy comes into it. Hopefully we'll find out a lot more in the next episode. But overall, it was a really great episode. And as a side note, since we were talking about the historical figures of Nobunaga, I will put in the description below 2 books about the time periods. It's by the same author. One is called Taiko. It's about the time of Nobunaga's reign and that whole war involved with that. And also Musashi, who was the most famous swordsman that was he was involved in the Battle of Sekihara, but he was only a foot soldier. But he became well known right after that time period. So if you're at all interested, you can find out about that below. So like always, comment below, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter, and I will see you next time.